guys, and welcome to this week's Bad Bookers Wrestling Podcast, episode 16. I am your host, Smoothman. As always, we have Jack, Chris, and Matt. Say hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Woohoo! Well, this week's been very, very busy, hasn't it?
Yes.
Goodness me.
This one might be a little while. We've got a lot to go through.
Listeners, if you'd like to take a break, we'll give you a warning halfway through, and then you can come back later.
No, we want to listen all the way through, Smoothman.
Obviously.
Yes, totally.
But you can break and come back later because it's a long one. Oh, first up, let's just obviously as we just record this in the last hour, we've just had some news about Vader's passing, which is a bit sad. Vader was very influential during the Attitude Era. Just before that, very influential in WCW when Jack was watching it, I believe. Which is very sad, and I don't know, really. It's just not a way to start.
He was obviously he had a lot of health problems recently, so it's not that much of a surprise, but it's always sad.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure.
Something about a pneumonia after having so many heart surgeries and so much health problems for years. But very sad. Very sad.
Definitely.
Rest in peace, Mr. Vader.
So this week we've had NXT TakeOver, we've had Money in the Bank, we've had Raw and SmackDown, we've had the UK tournament 2 nights. Spoilers, we'll get to that later. And all manner of things. Big Cass is gone. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
I'll be a shout out. One of my friends, Stephen, long friend from back home, he sent me a Facebook message today. Shout out to Stephen.
Hey, Stephen.
He sent me a message saying, "This here is Big Cass, and he's unemployed, and you can't teach that."
Oh, definitely. Reddit had some of the best jokes. Oh, God. It's so, I think we weren't going to talk about Big Cass till later, but we might as well get it out of the way. It's a very weird thing to not get Future endeavoured, as it's not have
we've released Big Cass.
Yeah,
That's
he's gone. There's the rumour circulating that it was due to his sort of backstage moodiness before the pay-per-view. The fact that he didn't do what he was told. He was specifically told to give the little person that was playing the fake Daniel Bryan, to give him a big boot, and that's it. But Big Cass wanted to do otherwise. Big Vinny Mac said, "No, you don't do that. You do what you're told."
Apparently, he did go up to Vince and say, "Can I do this?" Which, to be fair, fair play to him.
But then Vince said no, and then he went and did it anyway.
Vince says no, you can't go up and be like, "I'm doing it anyway. I'm Big Cass."
Yeah, 7 foot tall, even though you're not actually 7 foot.
So,
but look, at the end of the day, it's not nice to celebrate someone losing their job.
No,
but ultimately, I hope that's gone.
I put on Twitter that it's surprising, but it's not surprising at the same time.
Yeah,
because
the timing of it is weird, especially because it's not looped in with everyone else. I mean, I don't understand why they wouldn't have sort of hidden his departure amongst all the others that are due to happen at some point soon. Because there
are rumours going around that there are more to come.
Well, yeah, because they usually do their future endeavour list after WrestleMania, but they've delayed it for some bizarre reason this time. But it's bizarre they haven't added it kept it just kept Big Cass off TV and then thrown his name amongst the rest, and then there'd be no questions raised. But then to call a meeting before a SmackDown, send Big Cass in with Vince McMahon, and then go, "No, you're out, you're done." It's a very weird way of doing it, but again, I can't say I'm surprised. His return has been lackluster at best. Daniel Bryan heavily carried him through that match, which I rewatched on the basis that I had to try and see for sure. And you can really tell just how much Daniel Bryan's carrying him through the match. And it was probably his best match he's had on the card since he's been a singles competitor. But still, they often say that to be a very good wrestler, you should be able to go out and have a match with a broom. Big Cass in this instance was the broom. That's my Big Carly joke reference from ages ago that I think I vaguely remember mentioning before.
Yeah. I think
broom, sir.
He's obviously ruffled too many big feathers.
Yes.
And watch out for Big Cass's rapping debut featuring Enzo Amore.
Gigantic Colin in the
bigger consensual penis.
Yeah. let's get
No,
the
that is not the podcast title this week. It's another consensual penis joke for the title.
let's get the predictions out of the way before I start crying.
Yeah. Yes. 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 Yes.
There seems to be a bit of a trend with the forfeits at the moment.
Yeah.
There is a bit of a trend
yeah.
with the forfeits.
What was
Smoothman keeps doing them all.
It's Smoothman and Matt are just sharing them at the moment.
Yeah.
No one else is getting involved.
I did have to rewatch the dance off yesterday in preparation for when I record my video.
I cannot wait.
So I also forgot that she does some sort of split and break dancing, which is going to be interesting.
Just do your best.
No one wants to see a 20-man stone do the splits.
Talking about splits, did you see Austin Aries attempt to split on Impact? I think it was a couple of days ago. He was doing some sort of dance, attempted to do the splits, and failed miserably. And it looked like he pulled every possible muscle he could.
Oh yeah.
No pressure then.
Oh,
No
dear.
pressure.
All that we ask, Smoothman, is you do your best.
Yeah.
Cheers. And give me another forfeit in about a week's time.
Well, if you can't get them right, that's not my fault.
That is true.
I mean, I got 13 out of 15, so it was clearly an easy one to predict.
Matt had a very good effort.
You did. So it was NXT Takeover and Money in the Bank put together. I was losing after NXT Takeover mainly because of Tommaso. I'm blaming Tommaso Ciampa.
Now you know how I feel over WrestleMania weekend.
I'm blaming him. And
Wow.
my lack of faith in Ricochet.
I'm sorry, but it was so obvious that Ciampa was going to win.
They
They were not going to have
on everything.
2 matches.
It was as it was going further and further into the match, and I just saw.
It wasn't. See, it wasn't. Like, I personally, we'll go into the match bit by bit, the sort of nitty gritty on those matches later on, I think. But I mean, the fact that you had Velvet, the matches I thought were very easy to predict in advance. But obviously, the matches themselves were fantastic, and but I don't understand how you would have picked Velveteen Dream over Ricochet. Ricochet needed the win, and Velveteen Dream didn't need it. I don't understand why you picked Johnny Wrestling to beat Tommaso Ciampa.
Because I was picking who I like.
But you picked wrong.
I know.
So what you've done is you've picked the ones you like, you've picked the faces, and you've gone for all of the faces, pretty much. Is that what you did?
No, Undisputed Era
Ciampa.
weren't faces. Undisputed Era weren't the face.
Yeah, but I mean, if he'd have picked the other lot, he did.
I don't know what I'm
I mean, he
doing.
might as well have, but he
The
did.
only one I got wrong, the Nikki Cross one, I went with my heart and not my head.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have made a difference anyway. But
Just,
Oh, well.
but
So-
I think the NXT show is just a really good example of you can tell good stories, and it doesn't matter that everybody knows who's going to win the matches because the matches were freaking incredible. And
Yes.
they need, if you just forget about all this trying to swerve everybody and just actually focus on having some decent matches, doesn't matter whether we know who's going to win or not, because every single person said that NXT takeover was possibly the best one ever.
Yeah, I think you basically pretty much quoted what I tweeted afterwards once I saw it all. I went a bit mad after I saw it because I didn't see it all live. I fell asleep, woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, thanks to my children. Woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I stayed off social media. And I don't usually do that. I usually go, okay, I'll go check social media and then I'll watch all the matches. But I stayed off social media, got up, sat up, had a coffee, and watched it all. And I just wow. Everything was brilliant. Just everything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go as far as to say everything was brilliant. It was very,
Okay.
very good. I wouldn't go as far as everything.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to talk about, but yes, I think we need to speak about all this.
We'll start off from the top.
Oh, actually,
Hang on. Let's just go through the results first, just so that I'm
Vote-
masking my
vote by-
failure.
One of the best tag team matches I think I've seen in a very, very long time.
Agreed.
Undisputed Era and only Logan and Danny Burch. I have not seen much of them, but they have grown on me so much.
That was brilliant.
Such-
The crowd were taking a massive dump on them, though.
No, they didn't take a dump on them. They came out to absolutely zero reaction. But I tell you what, they were fucking clapped off.
They got a
afterwards.
standing ovation. didn't
That
Yeah,
is
but throughout the
exactly
match,
what
they
you
got
need.
booed a lot when they're
Well,
supposed
yeah,
to be the
because-
faces in some ways.
It's the Undisputed Era. They're in Chicago. It's a smarky town for indie wrestlers, and the Undisputed Era should basically be renamed the indie group. So you know,
Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor.
yeah, Ring of Honor, PWG, early 2012 or something.
Yeah, I just thought it was hard hitting from the get go. The bump that Lorcan took off the top rope,
And then he was just walking.
This is
walking off.
Filthy.
He walked off 2 minutes later like it was nothing, and he's like, "No, I'm not having it. I'm sorry, I'm not having it."
Yeah.
Fine.
I'm pretty sure he broke a couple of ribs and just didn't care.
Yeah.
That was
I
just
don't know
mental.
how it's possible to walk it off. If that was
He
me,
didn't
I would have died. I would have literally died.
He then did a double blockbuster to the outside after it finished as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
All of it was just mad. It was not what I expected. I went into this match not knowing much about Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, was
The
it?
other dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, apologies to everyone, but I'm still not. They're not very well known to me, with all due respect. But I mean, they were fantastic. It's just the match. It's probably the best tag match I've seen since DIY and Revival for me.
100%.
Yeah, just everything about it. The storytelling in the match was so good as well. Even though someone who didn't know much about the two groups, I got it very quickly because it was simple booking. That's all it takes is simple booking. Anyway, that's sort of me ranting again. There'll be a lot of that today.
Yeah. But the Undisputed Era win, that submission section was quite nice, where they're both in a submission and O'Reilly somehow gets out of it and then kicks, I can't remember who it was, in the face to break it all up.
Kyle O'Reilly's my bae. I love that man so much.
My one issue with that spot is every single tag match we have now, you have to have a double submission spot, and it's kind of getting a little bit tight. It was fantastic when you see it like for the first time in 15 years or whatever it was, but now every single time you see a tag match on NXT, they have that spot. It's kind of getting a little bit old.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, to be honest.
Don't get me wrong, the match was incredible. That was just what was going through my head was, well, they're going to have to work a way out of this because they've had so many matches finishing that way that they can't do that now.
I would agree.
We then had Velveteen Dream versus Ricochet. Apparently, Velveteen Dream is calling himself a wrestling god nowadays, and he's saying that Ricochet should stay in bingo halls, which I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed that bit where they were just on the floor hitting each other.
Velveteen Dream, who came out in Prince Puma inspired tights and
Hulk
Hogan shtick.
Because he's Velveteen Dream, he does what he likes.
Hogan's coming back at some point.
He's got to, hasn't he?
They wouldn't let Dream do this without.
No. He might have just gone off script and done it because he wanted to, because he's Velveteen Dream. He does what the fuck he likes.
And then Triple H is like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Knock yourself out, mate. You know what you're doing. Go for it.
Velveteen Dream could do anything and it would just get over.
Yeah. Well, he was laying on the announce desk at one point. Like,
when Ricochet was on the way to the ring and he's just there on his side, waiting for it to come in.
He is all in on his gimmick, isn't he? It's just, he lives and breathes that gimmick, and I just love it.
And he's what, 22? No, I'm not.
How old is he?
22.
Oh my God. So you got what, 20 years?
Yeah, 20, 25 years.
Wow.
But it was such a good match because it started off relatively slow, methodical, and then all of a sudden they started changing each other's moves. They build it well, the trash talking in between, and then I really like Velveteen Dream's DDT. That looks pretty slick.
The Spike DDT, I love that Spike DDT. It looks so cool. When he put it on Aleister Black once, and it looked sickening. I think it was one of his moves on the Indies, if I remember correctly. So it's one that he used on the Indies, because as soon as I saw that move, I was like, right, I need to go find that move more often. The way he puts that DDT in, it looks awesome.
And
they hit that superplex from the top rope to the outside.
Oh yes.
My back was in agony just watching it. I was like,
and once again, they just get up like nothing's happened.
I know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that this weekend.
I bet Jim Cornette was fuming.
Jim Cornette's fuming like 99% of the time, so
I can't do a Cornette accent. I was going to try, but then I realised I can't do it.
He just has resting bitch face, doesn't he, Jim Cornette?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Ricochet won with the 630, which I don't know how he does it. It's incredible.
Because he's
He
ridiculous.
hit it to his back as well, which is
Yeah.
but fair play, good move, loving it. Velveteen Dream will happily go on and take on whoever because he's Velveteen Dream. He does what the fuck he likes. Ricochet
But it-
can
but it
move
big
up the
title.
card. Fantastic.
I don't even mind if it's not the big title, but Velveteen Dream going for the North American
Yeah,
and having a feud against Adam Cole would be
right.
awesome.
Here's a quick
Yeah.
question for a tangent. When do you call Velveteen Dream up?
To the main
don't-
roster, I don't
Do
think
you,
he should
do
yet.
you, yeah, the question is, when do you think he's going to get called up? When do you want him to be called up? Because his gimmick's so, like,
It's out.
not,
of
it's
his-
kind of not main roster.
It's not main
um,
roster caliber yet.
No.
I would say leave him in NXT until Vince gives WWE to Trips,
Yeah.
Ah,
because at least then he'll get the best shot possible.
I mean,
Vince McMahon's going to live to 100, so
I think I reckon it'll be in the next. I reckon it'll be. Oh, I don't know. Say SummerSlam next year or something. I reckon it'll be something like that.
Yeah, you got. I would say you got to have it. You got to have him win the big one in
Yeah.
NXT
Yeah.
before he.
Hopefully after Undisputed Era go up.
Yeah.
They'll be going up certainly in the next year or so. You can't keep money makers like that down in NXT forever. You just
no,
can't.
you cannot. You cannot. If you look at people like Kevin Owens, he still had the belt and then turned up on the main roster.
And went straight into a feud
that's
with
kind
John
of
Cena.
yeah, that's
Yes, he
kind of the
did.
bar that I kind of set for people who are going to get called up. If they're Kevin Owens level at NXT, they need to have kind of good placings in NXT before they move. Whereas if you look at people like Tyler Breeze, it just didn't work.
No way, Jose.
And no Jose, yeah. Shayna Baszler versus Nikki Cross.
Really good match, I thought.
Yeah,
really
it was
good.
decent. It was okay.
Yeah, better than expected. I mean, because obviously Shayna Baszler. I mean, when she won a title, we were all a bit, really? Okay, fine, we'll go with it. But the setup for this feud has been really quite clever. You've got, so as far as I know, you've got Shayna Baszler and was feuding with Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai is shit scared of Shayna Baszler. Nikki Cross shows absolutely no fear because she's a mad lady and plays the mad lady character very, very good. So at the beginning of the match, you got Shayna, or you got Nikki Cross going, go on, hit me, go on, get it going, come on, let's get started. And Shayna's like, well, whatever, etc. And the sort of the way that meshed really well, I thought. Sorry,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, it was good. It was good in terms of the build and things. And Nikki Cross just being crazy is always going to be very good. Again, spots outside the ring, dropping her on the ramp, dropping Nikki Cross on the ramp.
Yeah.
Beach balls again. Came
Got
It
in,
lasts
destroyed the
very
match.
quickly.
It lasted all of a minute, and then one of the fans kind of was like, "No, I'm not having this," and popped it.
Did the right thing, absolutely the right thing.
I know Chicago can be boisterous at
It's
times,
too smart. Is it? That's like too much. That's just too
but
low.
at least they kind of, the one fan said to himself, "Look, this is a very good show. What's the point of having beach balls here?"
I know.
And went upon himself to.
Can I point out that NXT show had 0 CM Punk chance?
Yep.
Absolutely none, which speaks volumes. Boy, there was a few at Money in the Bank.
I'll get onto that when we.
The very first thing on the pre-show was a CM Punk chant.
Yeah, first thing I
The
heard.
very first thing.
We'll get onto that when a certain
yeah.
match on the main show comes
Chicago.
up.
Definitely. Baszler puts, I can never remember what it's called, but her kind of submission move.
It's like the cookie in the clutch. Only
Cookie
not.
in the
Yeah.
clutch. Yeah, that's
She
what I've been
calls
calling it.
She calls it something different though, or they have.
She would do because it's her move.
Nikki Cross then just sits there and smiles all the way
No.
through it.
No. It's perfect. She gets the passing out spot, which is only given to the people they really want to push. They gave that to Austin. You know what I mean? And you know, it's a
Austin,
spot that is in theory overused. My guess.
Daniel Bryan did it.
Daniel
recently
Bryan's
against
had it,
Jones, didn't
Yeah. To get the passing out spot is a big thing. I think they've got massive plans for Nikki Cross, which is why they pulled her out of Sanity. Which is weird that she's still got the Sanity theme, but and she's still in the Sanity attire. But you know,
Theme slightly different though.
no.
It's like, I think it's like, you know, like the Shields and Roman's theme are like so close to each other.
No, what they do is what they had in Insanity was if it was Killian Dane wrestling, they'd have a Irish version of Sanity's theme. Nikki Cross's version was a bit screamier and had a woman doing the scream thing in the background, and can't remember any of the other names. Yes, Eric Young's one would be different if they were individually wrestling, but as a group, as a collective, Sanity would have the main theme.
Yeah.
So Nikki Cross did have her Sanity theme, which was a bit weird, but hey, fine by me. Hopefully, I think it looks like they're going to try and distance her from Sanity, and build her with her own identity, which I'm looking forward to seeing, because I think she could be a pretty big star.
Yeah, and she was very, very good in that match.
Yeah.
I don't think Shayna Baszler had a lot to do. I think it was all Nikki Cross mainly, apart from at the end. Alistair Black and Lars Sullivan.
This is the only blight that I've got was the fuck up with the Black Mass. But even then, I mean,
it was all right. It was an all right match.
it was. I mean, bear in mind how green Lars Sullivan is. He held up pretty well against Alistair Black.
Yeah, definitely. And he's allowed to do diving headbutts. So
They just need to stop doing them. I don't know why they're still allowed.
I don't know, mate. It's very weird.
but the botch was just horrendous.
Yes.
So bad. But there was another apron style spot. They're doing a lot of them these days in NXT. More
It's
so
part
than
of the ring movement, that's why.
yeah, I know. We keep hearing that a lot.
Well, unless you take the ring apart.
I was gonna say, unless you take the top of
Unless
the
you
ring,
take the ring apart. Then.
that is not the hardest part of the ring anymore.
That leads
Black
us on to something, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. Black wins with 2 actual black masses. I put that in inverted
I
commas.
do like how he had to hit 2 black masses. I do like that story.
Yeah.
Good.
And wins and keeps his title. Please
Good.
don't leave Lars in the main
He won't be
belt
now.
picture for a
Well,
while.
no, it was a surprise to see him in that event. I think I might mention it last week, where Trips was in an interview talking about or doing a conference call and saying how we're trying to push our guys higher up rather than having them looking down.
Yeah.
So having greener guys taking on the much more experienced guys is good for everyone. And I can't argue with it. It's producing results. It wasn't a bad match. It wasn't as good as, Black versus Almas or Almas versus Gargano or anything like that. But it was a good match. 3.5, 4 star if you're looking at Meltzer ratings. Personally.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it suffered from the fact that the rest of the card was absolutely fucking mental.
Oh yeah. If it was an average card, then this would have been a standout match.
Yeah.
If it was like I don't know. Fuck it, move on.
Money in the bank.
And then the best thing I have seen in my life, Ciampa versus Gargano, and after the first unsanctioned match, this is what it should have been, in my opinion. But
Yeah, totally agree.
incredible. It was so good that I literally was shaking by the end of it because I was just so excited. The bits that I liked was the sign. Obviously, it was planted. The stop sign got pasted in paper, and he goes, "Use this sign," and he goes, "Oh, okay." Then hits him with it, then pulls it apart.
Yeah.
It's a stop sign. I was like,
Just before you got there, they had the angry ginger man. Angry ginger man. You are the devil, Ciampa. You are the devil.
I forgot about that, and then I saw it on Twitter the other day. I was like, "What?"
That man takes it seriously, and I applaud that man. That
You
man
can tell he's from Chicago. You
He
can
needs
tell
a
he's from
blue tick on his Twitter account. He needs a knighthood. He's 100,000 YouTube subscribers. And we need to interview him on the podcast. That man is an absolute
Get
god.
him on. Tommaso's finisher on the steps from the apron, I think it was.
Oh yes.
I was
Yeah.
like,
Dirty.
I did a lot
Yeah.
of weird
There were
facial
points where I
expressions
was
while
like, I'm
watching
not
this.
watching
It was uncomfortable at times,
It
but
was.
oh my god. I went a bit mad after the match in our Twitter DM group, where I basically said it's the best match I think I've ever seen, and you know what, I stand by it.
Yeah.
Um,
I had to mute the group chat
Oh,
on the DMs because you were all spoiling it for me. So I muted it, ignored everything that you said, and then had 400 messages to read to go through and catch up.
Well, you should have stayed up and watched it then, shouldn't you?
I was so
Well, I'm sorry.
excited.
It's a Saturday evening. You have no excuse. You haven't got school the next day.
No, but I had to get up
Pathetic.
early on the Sunday.
Pathetic.
We'll
I'll go
stop
and play
playing
cricket
fucking
then.
cricket and
Yeah,
watch
but you
some
know,
sport instead.
wrestling's more important than cricket sometimes, Stephen. You got to understand that.
All the time.
I'm missing cricket next week.
Oh
Good.
God.
Oh, is there a takeover next week? Oh.
No, I'm missing it for this.
But just the callbacks, the walking up the ramp, which is reminiscent of how DIY ended in the same
Yeah.
fucking building, having him
Yeah.
thrown against the Titantron, and
It was like hit me in the feels, hit me in the feels.
Oh, it was everything. The match had everything.
Yeah.
And then because obviously after, I mean, we can go through it spot by spot if you want, but we'll be here for fucking hours.
Yes.
Or we can sort of do random bits and bobs for it, because we'll talk about. I want to talk about the end quickly, because after what is Ciampa's finisher called? Because it's doing my nut in.
I have no idea.
Where it's basically a white noise, which is what Sheamus has, where it's in effect heads down by your ass and then sort of fall back.
Yeah.
It's white noise, which what the Sheamus calls it a white noise. So then Gargano does that to Ciampa onto the tables below. Sickening
Zero
bump.
cushioning. You could hear Ciampa's head just
Yeah.
bounce off.
Yes.
the tables. Like, no,
Hit those
God.
poor MacBooks. Those poor defenseless MacBooks on the table were
I
destroyed.
think they were fake.
No, they were real MacBooks.
I
It's
think
still
they
real
were
to me,
fake.
damn
It's
it.
real to
I
me.
think they were fake.
But you know, and then then obviously Ciampa's on the stretcher. Before that, obviously Ciampa had pulled off Gargano's wedding ring, spat on it, thrown it
Thrown it away. Yeah.
'cause
One
he's
thing I
a
really
dick.
liked was after that, obviously Gargano put him through the table, jumped
Mm.
back up onto the
Yeah, and he's
what
dead.
was it, the production thing. Then it took him a good 2 minutes to realise that he was gone. And he was like, "You fucking what, mate?"
He went straight up Devo
Yeah.
on him.
Yeah.
and went,
Yeah.
Oh,
And it was just at that point where he was on the stretcher, I thought they could just stop it here and I would still be happy.
yeah,
Like they could put it here and go, right, we're going to have to finish this properly with the next takeover.
yeah.
at
It's a no
SummerSlam.
contest. We'll move on with it for another point.
But then he just goes absolutely mental.
He
And
goes heel mode. He turns heel. That point he went heel.
I think he
Full on
double
heel.
turned, didn't he?
It wasn't a double turn in that,
Potentially.
but he went
It was
heel,
like
full on heel.
a double turn, but then got turned again.
Yeah,
Yes, a double turn mid match and then a return
Yeah.
and then a reversal. double turn.
yeah.
Madness. I don't know who the agent was for that match, but that man needs commending. That's be someone like
It
Dean
was
Malenko.
probably Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
Cool.
Shawn Michaels did the last one, I think.
But oh my
But
god,
he just kicked his head off numerous times, handcuffs him before that.
Gargano escape.
Two
Yeah.
Gargano escapes, 2 taps, no ref, and you go. That's when I realised Ciampa's winning.
Yeah, I know. No, I still hadn't thought that because I, like a proper little smark, had completely forgotten the wooden exposed area in the ring.
I don't know how they've managed that. How they've completely ripped up the ring and you forget about it.
Yeah, I
I think
completely
everyone forgot about it.
It's because so much else happened. It
Yeah.
was just
It was.
there was so much going on.
But it was the fact, even when they were in the ring, I forgot that the ring was like
Yeah,
not
Camera
properly-
angles.
camera
the
work
camera angle.
very.
It
big-
was. It was clearly not fucking Kevin Dunn, was it? It was
No.
clearly somebody that's got a bit of skill showing cameras. They did. If you noticed when what's his name was in the Gargano escape, they had the cameras down so that you couldn't see the folded up ring bit behind Gargano. All you could see was normal ring matting.
Very, very, very clever.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you get Ciampa standing up. And then at the moment Ciampa stood up, I thought, oh, wait a minute. No!
Yeah, it's the fact that his hands were tied behind his back, and then he's obviously got them round the front
Yeah.
in order to do the DDT.
Well, it's a long chain.
On his back, so
It
he
was,
can,
it was a very loose.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't like a
was.
tight handcuff, was it? It was like,
No.
one
Long
would drag on the
chain.
floor almost.
Typical wrestling handcuffs,
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah.
But they wrestling, yeah, definitely. But it's just that DDT, and I go, no, it's
no,
happened.
I can't.
No, no. And then I was just sat watching, and then I went through Twitter. I looked at everything that you guys had put on, and I just went, give Triple H the reins to everything now. And if this is what he can do, just let him run with it. Vince, sort it out. Hurry up, because if that was on the main roster, people would be going crazy 1,000 times more than we've just done
It's
on NXT.
long-term booking over. It's booking over a long term, done simply, and done in a way that it makes sense. I mean, it's even silly stuff like Ciampa screaming at the ref. It's not enough. It's not enough.
Yeah,
You know, you don't think if these guys don't know it's enough. You don't know it's enough. This is enough. And then Nigel McGuinness going, well, when is it enough? It's just clever.
Even at the start, when before Gargano came out, Candice came up to him with the crutch and went, "Go
Yes.
kick his bloody arse off."
Mm.
Come on, let's go. And I'm kind of glad Candice didn't come out, but I was really hoping for a Candice Ciampa 5-minute fight.
When she came out at the end, because she came out when he was stood on the top of the ramp and Wade doing his creepy little
I love
wave,
the wave is so good.
and she was obviously consoling him. I went, Ciampa's going to do something in a minute.
You saw
The signature came up. Went, he's just going to run to the ring and just kick her in the face.
Yeah, they had this
Like,
last time.
it's going to
I think
happen.
this should come up.
I was like, you can't. No, just I can't take it. I think if he'd have done that, I'd have just gone. I can't take this anymore, because it was just incredible. It was so good.
It vaguely reminds you, or sort of links, I guess. This is a very weird tangent, but having things happening after the signature bit that comes up for NXT or whatever reminds you of how they do the end of Marvel movies, or where at the end of every movie they'll have like credits all run, and then they'll have a 2-minute sort of segment to link up to the next movie. That's just those little tidbits. It's like, you bastard. But yeah, I
It's a
can't
great ending.
think of another match that has evoked that much emotion out of me ever. Rock
No.
Austin in 17 is the only one that comes even close. I mean,
Triple H, Undertaker, Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell, Michael's Undertaker, Hell in a Cell doesn't do it for me. It doesn't.
It did it for me. But
because
this one was more.
yeah,
This one was more.
because we've been invested in. We were invested in this now,
Mm.
and now Ciampa's calling out Aleister Black.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter.
Well, Ciampa calling out Aleister Black. Ciampa's going to become champion. Champion. You're going to have Johnny Wrestling return. Johnny Gargano is going to take a lot of time off and come back and challenge Tommaso Ciampa to the title, and that's where we're going to be in probably WrestleMania next year.
And it's going to be the big underdog feel-good moment with Ciampa losing his belt to Gargano.
And then they're both going to get called.
It'll be
And then
amazing.
Hopefully on
gonna be-
different brands. Hopefully they'll get called up on different brands.
Yeah, because we don't want the Sami, because they're on the same brand. It'll be Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn again.
More like
Hopefully
Sasha
Gargano
and
goes on
Bailey.
to...
Or
No,
as I say,
no.
that they'll do a terrible Sasha and Bailey. They'll stick them back together as best mates again and try and do exactly the same thing, but fuck it up massively.
Well, no,
Gargano on SmackDown, Ciampa on Raw.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
because I mean, if you remember when Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens were both on the brand both called up at first, because Kevin Owens was after Sami Zayn, wasn't he? When they were together, or they were on the same brand on Raw early on, they just fought for months.
The last time they will ever fight each other, but it happens again.
Yeah,
And it's happened
it's like
10
once
times recently.
twice in a lifetime, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's but I as I said, that to me is the best match, certainly under a WWE banner that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It beats Omega vs Okada to me. It beats Rock Austin's WrestleMania 17. Beats CM Punk, Cena Money in the Bank 2011. I can't think of another match that evoked that sort of emotion, that much raw storytelling, that many callbacks, everything where you just get it and it clicks perfectly. Nothing else, nothing touches it.
Not even Jinder Reigns.
Or Jinder Reigns, it's a tough.
That touched a whole lot more emotions, but they're different.
To that in a minute. Don't
Sorry,
you
we'll go-
worry. Moving on to Money in the Bank then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Blanket statement. I'm sorry. After NXT, I just went, I don't really care.
No.
I really didn't care. And
I
I looked at the results before, because obviously you guys were talking about it because some of you had stayed up and whatnot, and I was reading through and I thought, right, I'm going to check the results now. And when I saw who won the women's Money in the Bank, I went, no, what are you doing?
It was
Maybe-
the only logical choice. It was the
But-
only logical choice for that fucking match.
The only reason I didn't
It
like
was.
it was because it's Alexa, and she's already been champion. I'm kind of bored of the same people being projected to the championship level, and people like Becky Lynch being just put underneath. But we'll get to that later. And the fact that the only decent match was probably Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey.
Just before you start, I'm never ever going to get bored of Becky Lynch being underneath me.
Banter. Oh,
This is
Sorry,
how-
Smooth, but I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go.
if you listen back, I did say poor choice of words, Smooth, from there to the end. Poor choice of words.
My whole review on it was, I thought it was a decent show. There was
It wasn't bad.
obviously some very dodgy booking decisions going on, but overall the wrestling was good.
Yeah.
The fans wanted to ruin one match as much as possible. We'll get on to that.
Yeah.
But overall, I put on Twitter, I think TakeOver, Money in the Bank, Raw, SmackDown, this has been the best 4 days in WWE for a while, a good while.
We say probably since before the brand split, even if you want to go to that level, because I mean it's just been it. I mean, Money in the Bank was good. It was a good pay-per-view. It wasn't NXT, but it was a good pay-per-view all in all. I said, yes, there was some questionable booking decisions, but as Jack said, the actual wrestling I enjoyed. It was pretty decent, to be honest. No question. The right people won in certain instances, not so much in others, but the right person won in, I'd say in probably most cases,
There
thinking
was
about it.
only one match where the right person didn't win.
And that
Only
was
one.
big. It was that big ass by any chance.
No, not at all. If you're sacking big ass, then he needs to go. But Shinsuke Nakamura, as much as I hate the bastard, should have won.
We'll
Well,
get on to that one,
We'll
won't we?
we'll get to that. We'll get to the Shinsuke rant time with Matt. We'll go in order then. Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass. Daniel Bryan wins. Match is
Oh.
boring. Don't care.
Bludgeon Brothers.
You've missed the
retained
pre-show.
tag team.
I didn't watch the pre-show.
I
Sorry.
don't know.
It wasn't much. It's a pre-show match. Bludgeon Brothers retains SmackDown tag team titles.
And then faced them for the titles again 2 days later for no apparent reason and won again. Because wrestling.
Wrestling.
Wrestling. Daniel Bryan versus Big Ass. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a boring match. I was too busy
I don't know.
putting stickers into my sticker book for the World Cup. It was that boring.
No, it wasn't a boring match. It was
It was-
okay.
It's a bit wet.
It was.
It's a bit wet.
I think that's a pretty good analysis. It wasn't boring. I mean, the whole idea of Daniel Bryan working Big Ass's left leg, I think, because he went to lock in the heel hook thing, and that was it was a solid match. Big Cass handled it all right. Daniel Bryan worked him pretty well. I mean,
The moody bastard.
moody bastard, moody bastard, and that's it really.
Lashley versus Zayn. Lashley
This
won.
was a
Move
boring
on.
match. This was
This
a
was a dull
boring
match.
match.
That was
Yeah.
But
dreadful.
it turns out that in hindsight, Sami Zayn is carrying an injury, which he's now off TV for. So this was supposed to be a quick match, get it out of the way, purely because Bobby Lashley needed to finish a feud to move on to bigger and better things. Sami Zayn has an injury and will not be on TV for a while, apparently.
and nobody really cares anyway.
I wish it was Bobby Lashley that wasn't on the TV for a while.
Yeah, I
And
know.
his silly bandana headband thing.
Don't forget, the crowd thought this match was really good because they cheered this one and they didn't have Mexican waves or anything.
Is that sarcasm?
Not bad.
But they hate bloody Chicago where they were.
Right.
Because
dear.
they're smarky. Rollins
Smart
versus
crowds are
Elias.
fun.
Rollins versus Elias. I thought this was
Really
great.
good match.
Really good match. I think
Yeah.
one of you put this on Twitter, and I kind of agree. This knee thing with Rollins is getting a bit boring.
Yeah, that was me. They haven't done a match with Seth Rollins in it
Yeah.
since the one where he actually hurt his knee, where they haven't done a spot where he hurts his knee.
Mm.
And they
And
worked on something else as well. There was something that he
his
injured.
neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, because his neck's still injured from when he got hit in the back 3 weeks ago with a guitar, despite the fact that he's wrestled every week since.
Yeah.
Wrestling.
Like, I don't understand. Seth Rollins has been really good recently, and they're just kind of trying to say that he's an underdog. He's no longer an underdog. He's a good wrestler. You can't say he's an underdog, especially when he's fighting against Elias, who, as good as his gimmick is, he's not the best wrestler in the world. Rollins carried him through the match to give a really good performance, but you can't then say that Rollins
And he's champion.
is an underdog.
How is champion and underdog?
Yeah, generally being underdog every match in. But that's not really a problem anymore. Moving on.
Women's Money in the Bank. The
Dreadful.
one that
Worst match on the card. Worst match on the card.
It was decent, but like the finishing spot where Becky Lynch had it and Alexa Bliss took about 10 minutes to get to
She
her.
fucked that up properly, Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch. Alexa Bliss missed a cue by a mile.
But it's not even
that's
just
what
that.
really bugged me.
The worst part of this match was the fact that everything was clearly this spot followed by this spot. You had at one point you had Alexa Bliss pick a ladder up that was not quite on the second turnbuckle, put it on the second turnbuckle, walk away, and then get out of the ring to go and do whatever she was supposed to be doing. It's just really poor.
But
Really
in their defense, can I say that it's not a regular occurrence for women to be doing ladder matches? And it sounds like I'm being a bit too over defensive on it. But
Apparently
I mean,
they rehearsed it all week.
But they rehearsed it all week, did they? Oh shit!
That's
why they haven't been on house shows and whatnot.
It was sterile and the bit where Becky Lynch's ladder didn't fall over when they had the two ladders next to each other. So she went and then threw herself backwards and dragged the ladder with her. Was just they need to kind of realise that if the spot doesn't work out quite the way you planned, don't try and force it. Just try and get something where you're naturally in position for the next one. And I don't think that, and every single one of them at some point in that match looked like they were waiting for the next spot rather than actually trying to wrestle.
At the start, you had Sasha and Ember Moon, and the ladder wasn't doing what it was supposed to, and they didn't pretend that it didn't. What they did do was Sasha acted like she caught it, and then they did the spot.
Yeah, not
drag the fucking ladder down with you.
It was clunky. If I'm honest, the match was quite clunky, and I mean, just listen back to the pop that Becky Lynch got when she climbed that fucking ladder.
Oh,
right at the end,
so loud.
Oh
and
my
god! I think everyone wanted her to win.
Everyone wanted her to win it. And now she's back to mid-card obscurity again because she's not going to fucking go anywhere with it.
But Becky Lynch doesn't work with a briefcase. She's not a heel. So if she wins the briefcase, she has to, as that character, say, I want to cash this in at X date against somebody, which takes away from everything that the briefcase is. There's no excitement with that kind of cash in.
Done right, like with the whole RVD one night stands with ECW, done right, like that was good. But too many of those.
But I mean, what you could have is a because I mean they do another European tour at some point. You could have a house show in fucking Dublin, something like that, where she comes out with a Money in the Bank briefcase, cashes it in, and it doesn't matter whether it comes across as a bit heelish because it's in her hometown. Crowd will go fucking ape shit, and it would have worked. Personally, that would have worked, but that's obviously a big ask. It annoys me because it means that she's just back to obscurity again, when she is arguably the best, if not maybe top 1 or 2 wrestlers on that brand, maybe in the top 2 or 3, 4 even.
I'll put a third behind Asuka and Charlotte.
Yeah.
In terms of wrestling.
Yeah, and maybe in the top 5 on the entire roster, and yet, what she was the first SmackDown Women's Champion. She lost to Alexa Bliss, had a stupid fucking feud with her, and that was it. And ever since then, she's still suffering from the fucking original brand split where she was moved over to SmackDown and got just fed nothing. And they brought Charlotte in, who was a bigger star than her because she had time to build herself up on Raw. It's dumb, but I guess Bliss winning makes sense. Other than Becky Lynch, Bliss makes sense.
Yeah,
as we know later on in the card.
Yes. But I had a side note in between the women's Money in the Bank and Roman versus Jinder. Paige absolutely burned Baron Corbin.
Yes.
And it was amazing.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Constable Corbin, please. Not
That's
Baron
right.
Corbin, Constable Corbin.
Sorry, sir.
Are we shortening Constable to Cunty Corbin?
No, because Corbin.
We can't call him Cunty Corbin.
Wow.
I wish we could. That's not a podcast, and I can't have come.
Incredible. Just you wait until he's Universal Champion. He'll laugh at you then.
Yeah,
Big bold Baron.
come on and do an end of days to your mum. That's what it is.
Exactly.
We then had the one that the
Deep six.
crowd.
Deep 60 your mum.
I don't think you can say that either.
No.
I hope you're writing this time to timestamp there, because you might just have to blank the whole bloody lot out.
Oh, fuck. No, I'm not blanking anything out. Unless Smoothman swears, I'm not blanking it out.
Well, get ready.
I didn't watch the match.
Roman versus Jinder, where the crowd gave no shits. There you
was a
go.
good
I'm sworn,
It
everybody.
was a good match. 30 seconds in, CM Punk chance. I had to have a break because the crowd were pissing me off that
Yeah.
match.
The crowd were absolutely dreadful. There was Mexican waves, there were CM Punk chants, there were boring chants, there were this and that. It was just like, I don't understand. What the fuck do the people in Chicago want? They don't like him in the main event, so he's not in the main event. He's below the mid-card fucking title. He's literally a mid-card nothing in this instance. So what the fuck more do they want? Do they want him to fucking die in the ring?
Yes.
The only thing
Some
that
of
they
them probably do.
like.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised.
Like, this is exactly what you wanted. When he was getting the push, this is where you wanted him to be. Now he's here and you're still not fucking happy. Go home and sort your life out before you get back into a fucking
Some of them
wrestling
probably
arena.
did. Some of them probably did go home. To be fair, Matt. Some of them
Yeah.
probably did.
I mean, see, the thing is that Vince could use this with this match here. I just thought about this. Vince could use this as ammo for then. So basically, whenever it goes, well, Reigns is getting booed because he's in the main event picture. They can go, well, I'm not being funny, but Reigns is getting booed when he's in a fucking mid card picture. So it doesn't matter what we do. We're going to stick the title on him anyway, and we're going to make the fans like him.
The
Make
one
him
thing that
disappear.
really got me. The one thing that really got me was there was a screenshot on Twitter of someone who was in the arena at the time, and he said to someone, "It was a really good match, but I felt like I had to join in." And it's just like, well, brilliant. Like,
Well, that's what it is, though. It's because it's the smarky thing to do to hate on Roman Reigns. Because if you like Roman Reigns, you're a kid, or you're this that, and the other. Roman Reigns is a fucking good wrestler, genuinely a fucking good wrestler who has been unfortunately put in a position where he's been booked into a corner and he's been labelled as the next big thing, to quote the Brock Lesnar thing. But he's been labelled as the guy for the future. So no matter what position he's in,
But he's not
he is
that.
going to get
Dog.
Yeah, and he's got a stupid fucking nickname as well. I don't think the whole turning him heel thing is going to work.
nickname.
Nothing's going to work.
No.
They've ruined him.
What he needs to
Really
do,
now.
genuinely, he needs time off.
Yes,
He
does.
needs the Randy Orton treatment where fucking hell, he needs the Randy Orton treatment where he's just take him off TV for a while, and that's no disrespect to Roman Reigns because he's a fantastic wrestler and he's got a great look. He's working fucking hard on the mic. He's a locker room leader, but the fans just don't connect with him.
No.
And unless the fans connect with you,
No.
you're not gonna get
Fans
anywhere.
don't choose to want to connect to them.
Yeah, it's pretty much, yeah.
Even my
huge
best mate
opinion.
Charles Robinson said they showed disrespect. So
It's awful. I know your best mate Charles Robinson, Lil Nate. God bless Lil Nate. The only person who can get away with squaring up to Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Fucking
I've got a little confession to make between the Roman and Jinder match. I actually don't remember who won, mainly because a certain announcement came out as I was watching it, which we will talk about later, and it completely distracted me for a good 20 minutes. So, does someone want to fill me in?
Have a guess.
Oh, it was Roman.
Yeah.
Roman.
Oh, good. Moving on.
You're looking at the predictions page, mate.
Yeah.
You know
It was
who
a
won
good. It was a good match.
Is this what I
Ruined
got right?
by-
It was a good match. You know, the
Ruined by
Singh
novices.
distraction was tried. Roman speared the living shit out of the Singh brother, and yeah, it was a good match. It was nothing special, but it wasn't supposed to be. It was designated the piss break match. It was. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If people want to admit it or not, there was
Bobby
a,
Lashley, Sami Zayn was the piss break for me.
no, it wasn't
was
because it was
too
the
early,
second
though.
match in. Two matches too early.
Yeah.
And you know that was it really. What else can you say?
And then the fans contradicted themselves with the next match.
Carmella versus Asuka. Guess what, everybody?
Called it, fucking called it.
Welcome
I
back,
told you Ellsworth was
Another-
coming back.
another
Mr.
promotion
Ellsworth.
said- Another promotion said that Ellsworth was going to be there. I think it was like a Chinese promotion or something.
Asuka's not ready for Ellsworth.
Do you know who else
He's
is
not ready for someone
Ellsworth?
wearing Asuka's
Me.
gear.
I don't even care that Ellsworth is back. I don't even care
I-
that the fans loved it and cheered it.
I thought
It
it
was
was hilarious.
one of the best female wrestlers in the world stood there for 2 minutes screaming at James Ellsworth, winking at her.
He has the weirdest wink as well.
It's really creepy. Is
He's
that?
just creepy as hell.
He pulled a really weird face. He looks like Rimmer from fucking Red Dwarf, with a sort of weird, creepy face. But, it just to me, I think it was funny. I just find it hilarious that Carmella managed to toe kick her in the face and win the match.
Do they
It's
have
brilliant.
Red Dwarf in America?
No, yes, they do. They got BBC America. It was on there years ago.
British references again.
Some people might know them.
Um,
But yeah, a super kick that wins the match as well. There we go. Done better.
we all know how Jack feels about super kicks winning matches.
Super
me-
kick
me and
party.
And again, I'm fed up of Carmella screaming.
That was fun.
Oh.
I like that. No, I actually quite like that. I thought it was funny.
It was
The crowd
funny
were
the
really
first
into it.
few times.
Because what it is it was I can't remember the exact spot, but it was Carmella hit a move on Asuka. Asuka was down. Carmella, come on, fucking
Kamala returns.
Kamala returns and pins Asuka. She pins ref and then pins her again. Ref pins her again, and then you hear one more time. And you know, I thought that was quite nice. I thought that was quite entertaining.
No,
The fans were actually quite behind Carmella in this one. And yes, she's supposed to be the heel. I get it, but it's quite nice to see Carmella actually doing something. If you see what I'm saying.
This match is on at 2:45 in the fucking morning, and I'm trying to watch it. And I have to, every time you see Carmella come on, you know you have to turn the sound down, or you're going to wake every other person in the house up because she's so fucking screechy.
Love it. But that's a heelish antics. And you also got to look at that. Okay, Asuka. Okay, it fucking sucks the position Asuka's now in, where she's now lost. That's the first pinfall defeat that she's had, proper pinfall defeat, as far as I know.
And it's Carmella.
And it's Carmella. It's ridiculous. However, right, if you look at it, what they are doing is they are building someone else, one of their NXT homegrown talents. They have built her up now. And
But she
okay,
can't
with I disagree. I thought she
They're
did it all
building
right.
her up, and you can't teach that.
Yes, she can. And she is the surviving member of the original Big
Enzo.
Cass and Enzo Amore. Yes,
Would you
But-
ever have thought that?
I know. But no, look, I don't hate Carmella. I don't hate her. No, I don't hate her as a wrestler. She's getting better every time she's wrestling. She's getting better.
To
She probably
hate
shouldn't
her,
be
I have to
champion.
care about her, and I don't, unfortunately.
She probably shouldn't be champion, sure, but other than that, I don't.
Granted, yeah, great, she's champion, but not for me.
Okay.
On a brand where you've got Becky Lynch, Asuka, and Charlotte, why is Carmella champion?
Because she's one of their
Because
own
why not?
homegrown talents. And
Wrestling.
she's marketable. And she's a heel
Carmella
because-
is money. That's why, Matt.
because there aren't any credible heels on SmackDown women's division.
Yeah.
That's what.
Then
That's
turn either Charlotte or Becky Lynch. because
Turn
both of
Becky
them-
heel. Turn Becky heel. That would be fucking awesome.
that's what needs to be done.
Becky or Charlotte needs to turn heel. One of the top talent needs to
Segueing
turn
into
heel.
the next match, it doesn't always matter if you turn someone heel. because
Lol,
they're
lol,
still
lol,
gonna
lol,
lose.
lol.
Fuck you, Japan. Yeah.
Nakamura versus Styles. Go on then, Matt. What have you got to say about Shinsuke Nax?
Excuse me, sorry.
All I want to, like, the match is not as good as people are saying it was. It was very, very slow. They did some pretty average, tedious spots, considering it's supposed to be this big fucking last man standing or whatever you want to call it. And then they had Shinsuke Nakamura lose, and he's pointless now. Like, he is worse. He is in a worse position than Asuka, who is below Carmella. Nax is in a worse position. Nax, he's
I'm
had
not
what I
gonna
think
lie.
that's his 9th title shot, and he's not yet won one across
I'm
all
not
the
gonna-
titles.
That massive dick kick from AJ was quite good. I quite enjoyed that.
That's quite funny.
But that didn't even end the fucking match. If that ended the
No, no.
match, then fine. But no, he had to then do his phenomenal forearm, but sideways through a table, because that's apparently a thing that hurts you now. Sideways through a table instead of through the top. But whatever. But yeah, so at this point now, Nakamura is pointless. He's bottled everything he's ever done, and you can't put him in a feud with anybody because he's just a complete and utter arsehat.
Well, he's starting. He's in a feud with Jeff Hardy now, but
Yep.
you know that's
His
still.
promo on SmackDown redeemed him for me. It
Yeah.
was
No,
a
it
very,
did not.
very good promo in my eyes.
What did he do? He tried to bring up his "I don't speak English."
Him and
spot
Renee
again.
Young have very good chemistry together. I feel. I mean, Renee Young had good chemistry with most people, but him and Renee Young
Because she's always on her
are
knees.
very good.
Smoothman.
and he's
Movement versus Dean Ambrose,
And it-
WrestleMania main event.
You are the host of a podcast, Smoothman. You should know better than to suggest that Renee Young is on her knees to all in front of all of the male roster. Possibly female. You didn't say
You're
that.
also an adult in power, Smoothman, in your job. You can't be going around saying this.
Oh
Just
my
because
That's what
god!
I was
Anyone else-
referencing
Just-
the other
anyone else
week.
wants to come in and host this podcast, Smoothman's going to be in prison next week, probably. Alongside Tommy Robinson next time.
the worst part
Wow.
about he really liked on SmackDown was he tried to copy the Velveteen Dream by doing "I have no memory of that," and it's yeah. Your shit.
At least,
I've got a better idea. Swap Shinsuke and Velveteen Dream round, and then I'll care. 'Cause then we'll have a decent wrestler on the main
At
roster.
least they're putting him straight into another.
Yeah,
feud
he's straight to
straight
another
away.
feud.
So he gets his 10th title shot in 12 months and he still hasn't won one.
Yeah, but it's okay because he's
Kicks off
Japanese.
or
He's
Japan.
Japanese. He's an indie darling, and he's not Roman Reigns. So fans
I
don't feel like
think
they're being
I
pushed.
think they bottled it with him. I genuinely think he bottled it. Vince or whoever was fully in charge of the match. I reckon they bottled it. And the last minute they went, you know what? No, we're going to keep it on AJ. And then we'll stick him in a feud with Jeff afterwards. It's a very weird because it's been booked so many times since Royal Rumble victory, where Nakamura is
Yeah.
set to win as the heel, bit by bit by bit by bit by bit by bit, and then it's still not happened, and now the feud's done.
Because
But-
Nakamura is shit and no one cares about him.
It's a very weird way of booking it. Very weird.
Should we move on before Matt goes all in? Oh wait,
All
I'm just gonna have to put this
I'll
out.
tell you- I'll
Charles
tell you what.
Robinson.
Nakamura would probably do really well at All In because he'd be his actual proper kicking people properly in the
I
face.
wouldn't be surprised if he asked for his release. I fucking would.
sorry,
I'm
Jack.
just going to put this
What were
out
you gonna
there
say?
mid podcast. Not only has Charles Robinson replied to me, he's just retweeted my tweet as well now.
Oh,
shit.
check us out.
Little Nate.
Nice.
Oh, little Nate.
He's my dad. He's pretty much my dad.
Shout out to Lil H.
Is it your tweet or is it the Bad Bookers retweet?
Bad bookers.
Oh, loving it.
I also like the one the other week where someone had said, "I love how this is coming from Bad Bookers."
Yeah, I know. I like that as well.
I like that reply. It was great. Nia Jackson Ronda, which we all thought was going to be the main event. Obviously,
It was.
Was.
It kind of was the main event. It was the
Joint-
main event,
joint main
singles
event.
competitive, if you will.
not. Yes, yes.
Made a fool of myself on Twitter by saying, let's get ready for Botch Fest, and then it was the best match on the card.
Oh, well done, Matt.
It was very
yeah,
good
it
the way
was.
they booked it as well.
It was very good.
It was straight, like full on, straight from the start as well. Probably how Roman Jinder should have been booked.
Ronda was made to
full
look
on action.
quite weak as well. I know, obviously, they had to because Nia's this big girl, and it's like, yeah,
I said
okay.
it was very good.
But that bit where she took a power bomb and then fell out the ring, I thought she'd killed herself when she fell out the ring because it looked nasty.
Ronda, fucking hell, Ronda is incredible. She's really good.
Matt had a go at me on
And-
Twitter for saying she's my favourite women's wrestler.
No, seriously, she's good.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. What she's done so far, she's done really well. She sold really well in that match. She did a judo hip throw. She did really well in the Triple H Stephanie McMahon match that she had in WrestleMania. We haven't really seen enough of her to say that she's the best women's wrestler out there at the moment
She's
yet.
my favourite, though. She's my favourite.
I mean, that's not saying she's the best. I'm saying that she's good. Just
She's-
considering just how much time she's had in the ring to where and to be at this level now, be this good.
Mm.
Jesus Christ.
I think she's proving a lot of people wrong as well, which is
Yeah.
great. A lot of people think
And-
she's going to come in, she's not going to be very good.
It's got a multi-year contract as well with WWE. A
Yeah,
multi-year
it's could be,
contract.
could be an experiment. She'll be in and out within no time. That kind of mumblings, and actually she's held her own in a singles match.
She needs to stop smiling though.
But she just turns like that. She'll smile. and
I
boom.
think it's good. I quite enjoy it how she smiles when she's walking down to the ring. She waves to everyone. She high fives everyone. As soon as she steps in the ring, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's not like
Fucking
Finn
kill you. I
Balor.
will
Like,
fight you on the moon.
it's like it just switches.
Madness.
Like I'm gonna kill you now.
Mm.
Come here, give me your arm.
Come on, give it here. Come on, give me your arm. Come on. Oh,
So-
you give me your arm.
So it looked like she was going to put the armbar, and she was ready to strike and pull back, and then we had a cash in because Alexa decided to DQ the match by attacking Ronda, and then both
This has brought a lot of controversy into our predictions.
it has.
A lot.
I listened to our predictions. Both me and Chris said Jax retains by DQ. What
And
happened
that was it.
She retained by DQ.
by
But-
DQ?
But
did.
we predict who's gonna win the match. Now,
But it's a
um,
separate match.
no, we predict who's gonna win the match that's happened on the card.
So you're saying we
Yeah.
should have said Ronda wins by DQ?
No, someone wins. Like someone wins. So
Well
technically,
then-
because
well
no
then-
one saw
well then-
it, I was right in picking Ronda. You were right by saying Jax retains.
Yeah, that's correct. The only person
But-
that's wrong was Smoothman.
Sounds
So
like
he's-
the
You're welcome, everybody.
You have to pick who's winning the match. No, it didn't really affect the score in any way.
I'm not. Yeah. Well, with all due respect, if there was a problem, it should have been brought up when we had the podcast last
I
week
did-
when
I
we were
said
doing
this- I said
predictions.
this to Matt.
Yeah.
So what's
Yeah.
really annoying about this? I actually put in my predictions before, and I highlighted it yellow, thinking I'm going to revisit this and I might change it. I actually put that there would be a cash in, and then I took it off. Oh, it wouldn't have made any difference. I'd have still come joint last. But
Me and you could have done that duet movement. It would have been beautiful.
oh, endless love.
It would have been beautiful.
But, I mean, I said it was a surprisingly good match. We all thought it was booked horribly in the lead up to it, and we thought it was going to be like this is going to be main eventing, really? Oh, this is going to be shit. But I tell you what, it surprised me. I thought it was a really good match, and to be honest, thinking about it, considering Bliss won Money in the Bank, it was the best outcome for the match. Quite frankly, Ronda remains looking strong. Nia Jax still looks strong. And you've now added Bliss into the mix as well, who is bloody good on the mic and will be very interesting as the cowardice heel against fucking Ronda.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing about this is we're going to get Alexa Bliss running away from Ronda Rousey for
if it happens
however long
at
now.
SummerSlam, which it looks like it should do, because I think it's Nia versus Bliss at Extreme Rules.
Yeah,
I think they announced that on Raw, didn't they? So I wouldn't mind SummerSlam, Ronda versus Bliss, or a triple threat, whatever.
yeah, I reckon it would be a triple threat because then you can have Ronda not win the title and still look strong.
Yeah.
Ronda doesn't need the
I
title yet.
would have Ronda win the title at SummerSlam.
But if she wins the title, it has to be the main event. It would have to be the main event if she wins the title. Having her lift it up, it would be.
The crowd would be loving it.
I think Ronda should win it at WrestleMania, personally. A full circle, a year to the day that she starts.
There is, obviously, we still got the strong rumours of Charlotte versus Ronda, main event WrestleMania, so it could happen.
You never know.
I would be happy to see her win it at SummerSlam.
No, I wouldn't mind her winning it, even if she did win it earlier than we expected.
And I think it was.
Which is good.
I think it was needed that a cash in on the same night.
Yeah, it was. I think that, and the crowd fucking loved it. They
did.
went mental.
They did.
They also went mental when Bliss won the title, which I was a bit surprised at. But nonetheless, because Bliss isn't an indie darling, is she? But
No.
she resonates with the fans, and I guess that to them it makes sense. Right then, we go into
Men's Money in the Bank.
I really enjoyed this.
I did enjoy it.
Kevin
It was
Owens-
really good. Nice.
Kevin Owens died.
As soon as Strowman did that to him, I thought, well, that's me not winning. Then that's fair enough.
And also,
go home.
Kev put this on Twitter. I think is he overcome his fear of heights all of a sudden?
Well, no. It showed him earlier on in the match. He looked a bit apprehensive about being on the ladder, and then thought, well, okay, then
It wasn't built.
He did a
upon as
frog
much.
splash off.
He
He did a frog splash on Raw last week. He did a frog splash off the top of a ladder. So they did the spot where he was scared of ladders. Then he did a frog splash off a ladder. And then at the start of this, again, they did the bit where he's scared of ladders. And then Strowman dragged him up a 15-foot ladder and threw him off.
And killed him.
This is Kevin Owens we're talking about. This is the man who'll do anything to win. So playing possum.
Yeah.
I love him. I love him
I
so
loved
much.
the bit with the New Day at the start of the night as well, where he just brought them pancakes and
Yeah.
maple syrup. And watching Big E stroke his face with a pancake is like the most sexual
Xavier
thing I've
was
ever
just
seen.
counting pancakes like it was money.
The best part of that is when Kevin Owens went, I don't even fucking like pancakes. I don't like your stupid breakfast cereal. You can all go fuck yourself. That was the best part of that.
Obviously, Matt is
I think that was
paraphrasing.
Matt's favourite part of the entire night, wasn't it?
It was just putting the New Day in their fucking place. Get a new gimmick.
Matt's rad corner, everybody.
We saw a potential new gimmick on SmackDown.
What was that?
We saw a potential new gimmick with one of the New Day members in the Gauntlet match.
Ooh, I missed
So
that.
What's
We'll
that
get on to that.
job into Daniel Bryan as a gimmick, is it?
a very serious NXT-like Big E.
Yes. Oh, of course. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
So,
We'll get onto that.
I noticed when back in the Money in the Bank where they had Kofi announced on the ramp, I was like, "There's an athletic spot coming. Get ready. We know it's happening." I'd rather have had Big E.
to be honest, Xavier Woods is
Definitely my
just
first
as athletic. Xavier
Yeah,
Woods is just as athletic, just as OTT as Kofi Kingston. It would have been good to have Xavier Woods in it personally, but you know,
Kofi was my third choice out of the three.
I think
I've got
Kofi
nothing
was
against Coasty. No, Coasty.
Oh, no,
Nothing
definitely.
against Coasty. Oh,
Coasty Kingston.
oh, there we go. There's the podcast title.
Coasty Kingston.
But I think he was many people's third choice. Like I said, he's not a bad choice, to say the least. But
Yeah,
I think I would
It-
prefer
it's-
to see
it's
Big
because-
Ian.
I think it's because we've all seen Kofi in Money in the Bank matches before and high spot events and things like that. It's nothing against Kofi Kingston, and I'd love to see him in a main event picture one day. He deserves a main event picture run at some point. But ever since he got fucked over by Randy Orton years ago, he's never been in that sort of main event spotlight.
I think was it his sixth Money in the Bank or something? Sixth
Yeah,
or
he's
seventh?
been in so many of them.
Didn't
They
he
said
tie
it's
with
start
Kane?
seventh.
He's tied with
Oh,
Kane, isn't he, or somebody?
Jesus
Has
Christ.
Kane been in that many Money in the Bank?
Oh,
Apparently.
yeah, he was in loads of the WrestleMania ones.
Apparently.
Kane had all the records at one point.
Kane has every record, including being mayor, apparently.
Did he win?
I don't know yet. I actually don't know, but I know he's close to it.
He'll just if he doesn't, he'll just choke slam the other bloke. So he might as well.
Through a table, just tombstone him.
Through a table.
The other bloke will be up there giving a speech, and then just flames come out of the thing in front of him, burn his face off.
Let's get back to Money in the Bank. Strowman was buried by ladders by everybody. We had Strowman being throwing him off the ladder when he woke up later on. He then destroyed everyone. Rusev tried to do a triple accolade, which was just weird.
I love it. I love
Didn't
it.
do
It
it.
looks slightly sexual, if I'm honest. I'm not going to lie.
It's Rusev. Like everything's
The man is
slightly.
beautiful.
He is. Coup de grace from the outside ladder to Bobby Roode by Finn Balor I thought was quite good
Because fuck Bobby Roode.
because Bobby Roode is irrelevant. Kofi jumped on Strowman's back while he's climbing the ladder,
Yeah.
and then when Strowman threw him off, I thought Kofi's dead.
Yes.
He's dead. Someone call the man. He's dead. Oh.
But
And then
overall, I enjoyed the match. Just
Yeah.
point out that I enjoyed the match, but I mean,
It was a very good match.
do you think that Strowman was the right man to win it?
Yes.
You do, Matt, because you had him in your predictions.
Yes and no. Obviously, I lost the
Do you not
prediction.
remember when I was predicting it last week? I
didn't.
basically said he's the only man that probably shouldn't win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the thing with Strowman is he's the only one out of that lot that doesn't need it, but he can get away with a cash in during. He can get away with doing the Seth Rollins cash in style, where
Yeah,
in the
the
middle
way
of
I
the
think
match,
about it
because he
is-
does what he likes.
The way I thought about it was he doesn't need it, but now we're guaranteed to see Braun Strowman as Universal Champion, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I agree. It's yeah.
I
Okay.
kind of like. Oh, I know I said it was a stupid idea for the women's one earlier, but I kind of want him to go Brock SummerSlam. I'm going to murder you, and do it that way, and just say, I'm definitely going to win this match. I'm so confident. Brock Lesnar. You name a time and place, I will turn up and I will put you through every single table in the entire arena.
24/7
And then I would
Hard
drag
title
you
Raw. That's what it should be.
Yeah, but
So
when-
drag your
Kill
fucking
but
unconscious
if he-
carcass back to the ring and pin it.
if he asked Brock Lesnar a time and a place, Brock Lesnar will pick 3 years' time when he's not been on TV. So
Yeah,
I'll
but
see you
wait
in
a
the
long
UFC
time.
ring.
Brock Lesnar has to turn up to get paid at the moment because he's on a pay per
Yeah.
appearance.
I'll see you at the Rumble. Oh, great. Here we go.
In 2021. Bye.
I've got so much ducats that I don't need to turn up. Ha, ha, ha.
I'll get one of this, you.
I'll just
Universal
carry on
title.
hunting. Goodbye.
He's going to start using the Universal title to eat his meat off.
He probably does already.
I
I
wouldn't
think
be
it's why he
surprised.
needs to- I'm not going to say that actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I think
I-
just throws it in the kitchen when he gets home. Goes, fuck it, who cares? I don't care about it.
He probably takes a dump on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
here you go, Vince. Have it back. I don't really use it anyway. But yeah, I agree. He's guaranteed Universal Champion, and if
Yeah,
he's not,
and that's great to see.
and Lesnar kills him, then
Then everything is wrong with the
cancelling the
world.
network. I will
Everything is wrong
cancel
with
the
the world.
network.
Yes,
How many times have you threatened to cancel the network since we started this podcast movement?
too many.
Twice.
Every other week.
It is pretty much every other week, isn't it?
It's every time Brock Lesnar's name's mentioned, which you lot like to do.
You've got a shirt of his. You are part of the problem.
Right.
Oh, his fucking shit.
I own his merch because of when I started watching it again, and he did the Suplex City bitch. That was it.
Oh,
Don't
And
try
I
and
was
excuse
excited
You're
for
part of the
it,
problem.
and then he did this. So.
right, okay, then here's your fourth of this one. You have to burn your Lesnar shirt.
No.
Oh, that's the second
like
forfeit.
my
I'll be happy with that. Everyone
Whilst
in
wearing
agreement.
it. Whilst wearing
Everyone's-
it.
Oh, whoa. While dancing. Doing
Yeah.
We do not
Combine
condone
the two forfeits,
setting
and you've
yourself
got to
on
set
fire.
yourself on fire
They're your two
and do the
forfeits,
dance to
Smith.
try and put it out.
I am not
They're your two-
burning
They're
a
your two
£20
forfeits.
shirt.
I don't
It's an old shirt. They don't sell that
It's an
line
old
of merch anymore, Smoothman. It's
Exactly.
fine.
Do they,
Well,
do
they
they
got
no
your
show his
burger
merch as well?
I'm pretty sure they don't sell any Brock Lesnar merch because nobody likes him because he's shit.
Burn.
You can
Come at
dance,
me,
and then at
Literally
the end of the
burn.
video, you can burn your Brock Lesnar shirt, and that can count as your 2 forfeits.
Burn it
Can
down.
Oh God. We'll see how that goes down in the Smoothman.
You've got
household.
enough shirts, enough wrestling shirts anyway.
I
don't
have.
think
I
it-
bought another one for Strong Style
Exactly.
Evolved as well,
Exactly.
and I've just bought 2 Rover shirts. So,
So you can get
Blackbird
away with.
Rovers.
huh?
Blackbird
Blackburn.
Rovers.
No, Doncaster Rovers.
Who are they?
Where's that? Who are they? Yeah, who the
Exactly.
fuck are they?
are they?
They're some non-league team.
Oh, League One.
Same
Same
thing,
thing,
really.
innit?
Yeah.
Raw.
Right. Yeah, Raw.
Hold on, Chris. You support Lincoln, who are League Two.
I don't support Lincoln.
He just
Spurs.
I'm a Spurs fan, but I keep an eye out for Lincoln results, and I used to go to a lot of Lincoln games because there was nothing else to do in Lincoln at the time. It wasn't.
They support Lincoln.
brilliant. Multi-entertainment here with football and
Football banter.
Before we move on to Raw, I've just remembered Wolfie last week gave us his predictions, even though he couldn't actually join us because of work commitments. But
He had a bit of a shitter.
he did. Bless him.
Poor
He got
bloke.
2 out of 5. Therefore, he's currently sitting second in the league out of 2.
It's a big mark.
He got Seth right and Carmella right. He also went with me with Jinder and Nakamura and Nia Jax. So
How could you go to
How-
Jinder?
hopefully we'll have him on
Biggest
in the
face of the
future.
company. I don't think that.
But thanks again, Wolfie, for your predictions, and we'll
We'll try and get
hopefully
him on
have
at
him
some
in-
point.
yeah.
and-
Wait, why the hell did I go for Jinder to win?
Because you're a moron.
I've just realised this right now.
You were-
Why did I pick
you were-
Jinder?
Actually did. Because you actually put on the spreadsheet at the time the hinderer of Jinder. And then on the podcast you went, and that means Jinder. And I was like, oh, I thought you meant Roman was the hinderer of Jinder. But no, you meant you literally mean Jinder will win.
I'm a fucking idiot then, aren't I?
welcome to my
It
club.
wouldn't have
Hey.
mattered.
No. I'm not in your fucking league, mate. You're in a league of your own. That's sort of shit.
Cheers.
How many forfeits have you had to do, Smoothman?
This will be my third.
This is your third. We have had how many pay-per-views?
5.
5. You are in no position, Smoothman.
It's just now that of the 5, I've come top 3 times.
You've also come last twice. So
Shut your
I
face.
missed the consistency. I'll take consistency. I'm fine with that.
I'm just not going to bother.
Mid-table.
I'll just be the
A B
kind of
plus player.
I'll be the one who has to be the referee for all these predictions instead of actually doing it myself.
No. You're in it. You're doing it. Burn your Lesnar shirt.
you've got to have someone.
Burn it
for that.
down. I'll tell Kev, and I'll make that happen.
Cool. Whatevs.
Set fire to it whilst you're wearing it.
Whatevs, mate. Whatevs.
Make sure I don't wear it next Saturday then.
So, Kev, I've got a great idea for you, right? When you meet up with Smoothman,
Take
I do first.
some light out his t-shirt in. It's set fire to
Get some
it.
Zippo
See what
lighter
happens.
fluid. Yeah.
Right, Raw. Before we talk about me killing myself, apparently.
Well, you've got something very important, haven't you? That happened on Raw, Mr. Smoothman. Your favourite man in the world won a title.
Oh my god, I nearly cried.
It was the best rule.
Ziggles.
Zigglesworth.
Zigglesworth.
It
yeah,
Sets up the McIntyre feud.
it does. Everybody put that on
Perfect.
Twitter and on Facebook and on YouTube comments.
It sets up Drew, Dolph. It sets up Seth going for Brock at a time we don't know when. But it sets that up. Next
won't
week
be
they're having their
Extreme Rules.
rematch, so that should suggest that Seth's in this multi-man thing at Extreme Rules. Perfect decision.
Indeed.
But
And I'm happy.
But I literally said last week, Seth retains the title against Elias so that he can go on a massive run with the Intercontinental title. And then I felt
Well, you
really
were wrong.
retaining. And then he took it out from the next day, which is just shit.
Well, because he was
Yeah,
injured
fuck
from
you,
selling
man.
the leg. He sold the leg too much. That's the problem.
He's
And
sold the
I like the way he lost the same way that he won, with a tight pulling and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like that.
Ronda's been suspended for 30 days because she went crazy.
Kayfabe suspended.
Bitch went psycho.
Kayfabe.
She went absolutely fucking psycho. And that is the Ronda that we need to see a lot of.
Exactly.
Absolute fucking killer. Loved it.
If
Fantastic segment.
If they handle this well, she will be the first proper replacement for Stone Cold in 20
Yeah.
years.
I have
Yep.
to.
Because this was fucking brilliant booking. This was
She-
exactly what
what
she
did
needed
she-
to be.
She destroyed Alexa. She destroyed Kurt Angle. She destroyed all the
Destroyed the
refs.
referee.
Hang on. No, she destroyed Kurt Angle's wrists.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not him,
well,
his wrists. Because his wrists.
But he's an old
Right.
man now.
I know.
you
He's an
know.
old man now.
Bless
You can't
him.
hit him in the head with a briefcase anyway. That's not allowed.
Break
Is
his
it?
neck or something.
Yeah. He's broke it enough times, hasn't he? Bless him.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Um, we then had some promo with Lashley and Roman.
Yeah.
It's really good. I love it because Lashley made Roman look proper good at promos.
We all love the idea
Lashley's
of
promo work. I still haven't gone back to TNA to see. Apparently, he was really good at promos, but
He
if that was
alright
the
as a
type of
heel.
promos he was doing on TNA, my God, he's terrible. Like more
Yeah.
terrible.
That was a wet fart, wasn't it? That's what Lashley's
Yeah.
promo was, a wet fart.
And we're in a sad state of
And
affairs with
Roman-
Lashley and
Roman
Roman
called him
doing a
Bob.
multi-man.
Roman
called him Bob.
Oh, but
That's
no, just
It's
Lashley and
comically
Roman.
shit, and I quite enjoy comically shit sometimes. In the right places, it's just comically shit.
We've got them in this multi-man match as well to face Lesnar at future whatever,
At Future Endeavours pay per view.
and I'm just like,
That's a
no
great
one,
pay per view name. I'm calling that now.
no one gives a
Future
toss.
Endeavours.
What is that? Their pay per view of everybody they've sacked.
Yeah. To be honest, it's a better title than Great Balls
Isn't
of
that,
Fire.
Yeah,
isn't that essentially all in?
yeah.
I like that was good, Jack. Fair play. That was good.
B Team had a parody of the Deleters of Worlds.
Oh, that was amazing.
this,
That was
this was
genius.
amazing.
Absolute genius. I fucking loved it.
Just Bo Dallas pretending to be his brother. Brilliant.
It's impersonation. It was spot on. It's like their brothers or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
uncanny, isn't it?
The whole thing was just
The
absolutely
whole
fantastic. I
thing.
love that
Curtis
promo.
Axel
Wait. You're telling me that Matt enjoyed a comedy segment?
No,
on
that
Raw?
was absolutely brilliant. And the best bit was at the end when they didn't know what to do, so they just kind of.
Sunk down.
It was perfect
Yeah.
from Curtis Axel just with the whole broken Matt thing, the whole pop-up lanterns where they.
Yeah.
Really
They slammed
it off. It was brilliant. It was great.
Fantastic.
B
was
team are
brilliant.
hilarious.
And it's
Really,
such a shame they're going to get squashed.
yeah, they're gonna get absolutely fucking murdered.
But looking at it this way,
Yeah.
Oh,
they might like wake them and have them in the Woken universe. And can you imagine Bo Dallas and Curtis
That was
Axel?
one of the rumors months ago, I think. Even when they were with the Miz.
Can you imagine
That would be
those
good.
guys
Really
as part of the like doing that gimmick, but not taking the piss out of Matt Hardy, but with
Actually
Matt
doing
Hardy?
Yeah.
That'd be brilliant.
I want that.
I
to
would
happen.
be
I,
awesome.
I so want that to
Book
happen.
it now.
Yeah, that's it. Forget
I
the,
would-
that. The next instead at Extreme Rules, instead of having a normal match, they should have a Hardy compound match, or call it something a bit slightly more better. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I think Jack's mentioned this, but not in the podcast. But Jack mentioned this before. If you guys seen the WWE 24 with Matt and Jeff Hardy in it,
No,
Yeah.
that was my plan. this
Go and
evening.
watch
not
it.
hold back.
Go and watch it.
My God, I had
We'll
no
watch it
idea
later.
Matt was so bad. I had no, they referenced.
Exactly. It was
Am I allowed to
all.
talk about it? Am I allowed to talk about it, or do you not
Yeah.
want to go and watch
I'm
it?
No, no.
happy for you to talk about it because I'll watch it anyway tonight.
But reference of because obviously Jeff Hardy in TNA was not all there, and it culminated in Sting match where he was
About the Bound to Glory, is it?
the Bound for Glory, where he was off his face. They
The
did
Matrix is-
hours beforehand, and
Yeah.
he had to be in. And they had Eric Bischoff been interviewed about it, and Bischoff saying, we couldn't find Jeff anywhere. We were getting really worried. His music was playing, but he wasn't there. And then I looked to my left, and I saw 2 or 3 people dragging Jeff out a gorilla into the arena, and he stumbles down to the ring, and Bischoff makes an audible call there and then, goes, right, I'm going out to the ring and I'm going to go and sort this out. Goes up to Sting and goes, right, Scorpion Death Drop, and just
That's it.
get him done, just get him out of here. He goes up to Jeff, tells him this, Stinger Splash, or Stinger Death Drop, you're out. And then he goes, okay, Jeff like, okay, all right, whatever. And he clearly wasn't listening, because Bischoff goes to the ref, tells the ref this, Sting starts the match, hits him with a Scorpion Death Drop, whatever it's called, and rolls on.
Tries to kick out.
Jeff tries to kick out, and they're like,
Tried.
"I'm not having it." Yeah, and then like the whole crowd's going bullshit, 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 and Sting's like,
Yeah, I know.
I agree.
He's like, yeah, he literally says, "I agree," as we've walking up the ramp, and yeah. But I mean, the whole 24 is just absolutely like the shit that they were going through, like in late 2009, 2010, 2011.
It was all
just-
documented on Jeff. I didn't realise how bad Matt was as well.
exactly, because it was very public. Jeff's demise was very public. Matt's wasn't.
Yeah.
And apart from obviously the Lita stuff, where he was like, he called up Lita live on like a WWE style phone-in show, and was very, very public about the relationship ending, and obviously the affair with Lita and Adam Copeland or Edge. And that was a bit iffy, and Matt was all over the place about that. But I mean, his sort of alcohol abuse and his substance. It wasn't. It was painkiller mainly. Painkiller,
yeah.
opioid abuse.
It was. It's still kind of a form of drug abuse, isn't it? It's
Yeah, it is.
That and heavy drinking, wasn't it?
Yeah, that publicly documented. And wow, just I had no idea it was that bad, and that I guess that's why WWE gave him a second chance, because of how he'd shown everyone that he could turn it all around, and he created a fantastic gimmick that hopefully they can properly utilize now.
And they even brought up Jeff's DUI from a few months back as well.
Yeah.
Which I thought
Yeah.
they wouldn't do.
I didn't think they were going to do that, because apparently Jeff was supposed to have a lot more of a role in the Deleter of Worlds match.
Final deletion.
yeah, the final deletion,
Yeah.
A much role.
The ultimate deletion, sorry.
ultimate
final
deletion. That was it.
deletion.
Yeah, but like from what I heard, they actually filmed quite a lot of it, and because obviously it was filmed before we got the DUI, because the DUI was like the same day as the Raw that it aired on, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it was like, I think,
Oh,
somewhere
wow.
very close.
Yeah,
But
I'm
yeah,
definitely going to
the
check it out.
movement
I'll
after
definitely check
after this podcast, go and watch it.
That's what I'm-
It was very good.
it out. That is my homework for this evening.
I want a 3,000 word essay on it for next week.
Cool. You'll be waiting a long time. I've got 2 videos to record.
As long as one of them involves you burning your lesson, I'm fine with it. I thought burn it down might be the name of the podcast now.
No. Burn Lesnar's shirt down. The Riot Squad had a deja vu match again against Sasha and Bailey, and again we had some more deja vu with friendship issues.
That is them actually turning on each other now.
Bailey turned the biggest heel by throwing a water bottle at a car.
Have you guys seen the clip where they where Bailey throws the water bottle and it cuts into the Kalisto one where he gets hit in the face with the water bottle.
No, I've seen the one where she's throwing the water bottle and then it turns to a clip of Rikishi running over Stone Cold.
Love it.
I did it for the people.
You did.
Oh,
To be honest, no,
but yeah, I didn't really care. This is going.
no, they should have pulled the trigger on it a long time ago. But it looks like they're finally going to do it now, and it's going to be a proper, full-on feud, like it should have been a while ago. And hopefully, it can be salvaged. And I think it depends on who turns heel. I guess it
Well,
was.
I think
Well, it looks
that's-
very Sasha, isn't it?
the way they were going in the match, Bailey was trying to help Sasha out because Sasha's clearly injured from all the spots she was doing last night, which is why she did all the main spots off
Yeah.
the ladder and stuff. Bailey kept trying to help. Sasha saw it as her trying to steal the spotlight, which says to me that Sasha has to be the one that's turning heel, which is the right one of the two of them to do it. Should have just done it
The
9 months ago.
punch.
Say
Bailey's
that again.
first punch.
Oh yeah, true. But
Jinder
I mean,
Mahal's changed his promos.
Oh, God.
this is
They're
what
a
he
bit
used to
weird.
be when he was a jobber.
They're a bit
Frank
weird.
Reno.
Yup.
That's
Can
enough of that.
I just point out how far Chad Gable has fallen? He really needs Jason Jordan back.
Yeah, he does.
He's
Yeah,
so
he does.
desperate for Jason Jordan.
What
Definitely.
rumored to be back on Raw like a month ago?
He's still injured.
Apparently,
Yeah, but
apparently
he
he's
did his
been
neck,
cleared.
didn't he?
Issue, and they do not fuck around with neck issues at all.
Apparently he's already been cleared,
Hey, okay.
and he was
Maybe they
supposed to
just
come
fucking
back
break
a month ago, and they just haven't done it yet.
Nothing for him to do.
He's on the release list, guys.
No, I don't think he's on the release list. He's got another couple of years.
Chad Gable's probably on the release list.
Or he tries to get it out
Yeah,
there.
true.
Yeah.
Corbin is now, or corporate, not corporate.
Constable.
Constable Corbin is now the new corporate Kane.
Love it.
And he picked up
Tag-
the pen.
and he did pick up the pin against Strowman and Balor. Was it on
Pinned
Balor?
Balor, didn't he?
Yeah.
Pinned Balor.
Yeah, he's not going to pin Strowman. Don't be so
Definitely not.
stupid.
So he's select-
No, I love it. No, I'm really enjoying the new Corbin. I think he's great.
I think he's good.
Big up Jeremy Corbyn, you know.
Jeremy Corbyn, yeah.
So,
then
socialist in America.
Big
And then
old guy.
finally, at the end of the night, we had Lashley and Roman Reigns team together to fight the Revival, who
Is this the
get
main
this. I don't know.
I
This
don't
is
think
in
it was
my
the main
list.
event.
This
I
is
don't
in
think
my
it was
was.
the main
list.
event.
I'm pretty sure it was.
It's in my list.
It was
And
the
remember, I watch YouTube highlights, which are never in order. So
No, it 100% wasn't the main event. But if that's the way you've noted it, that's the way you've noted it.
that's how it's working.
I don't know how the YouTube highlights order it.
this though. We've literally like about an hour ago we said the Revival were in the last great tag match, and now they're
Yes.
doing this.
And
Now,
look how the mighty have fallen.
to Bobby Lashley.
Who has the most horrendous spear in the history of wrestling?
I did like the way he kind of rolled out of it. I did enjoy that, but it's Bobby Lashley, so I don't give a shit.
Move on to SmackDown quickly.
Let's. Really good.
Not much to talk about other than the gauntlet match, really.
Yeah,
like
Kamala's
really
promo and more Ellsworth. You've got Iconics pretty much giving Becky Lynch abuse, and then Becky Lynch beats Billie Kay. Jeff promo against Nakamura where he pretty much calls him out for what he did earlier. But he's now got his face.
Face paint.
Yeah,
It's like
They said, "That's my
oh.
face." So now I'm an egg, and I've painted my face to look like
what was his TNA character called?
Will I?
He had Willow, but it wasn't that. There was another one.
Oh, that was an enigma.
The,
charismatic
the Enigma. I
Oh,
think
the
it was.
charismatic enigma. Let's
Oh,
point that way
sorry.
out. He's a charismatic and he's an enigma. Hang on. Jeff Hardy.
Love it.
Screaming in.
But yeah, I didn't see the Nakamura bit, but you kind of touched
Very
it
good promo.
earlier.
yeah,
My
Nakamura.
Promo.
He can't
Um,
cook to save his life, just like he can't wrestle to save his life.
Cool, let's cut Matt off now before he starts on again about Nakamura.
Jeff Hardy's nicknames. I've just looked them up now.
He's about 400.
Jeffro, Ice, Rainbow Haired Warrior, Enigmatic Soul, Jeffy, the legend thriller,
The legend thriller. He's not just the thriller, he's the thriller of legends.
the charismatic enigma, and the antichrist of professional wrestling.
Who the hell? Who the hell has written that list?
This is legit the antichrist of professional
That's
wrestling.
got to be Wikipedia. Someone's made that up.
No. It's it was when Jeff Hardy turned heel. I remember this. Oh god, it was so bad. If you he came out in a purple suit and smoking, and oh
What?
god,
He came
Yeah,
out dressed
what?
as a pimp.
I feel like I don't want to remember that. If I
He was the Godfather, but
I was gonna
with
say,
more tattoos and crazy hair.
and no hope.
The
Quarter of the way.
Train.
that is him as
I will
I'll
look
watch
at it
it.
oh it's a thing that happened because he turned heel and joined the main event Mafia, I believe. I don't know that much about
Oh,
TNA.
the TNA thing. Oh, okay. That's fine. That's
It's
fine.
not WWE, no. He wasn't the Antichrist professional wrestling on WWE.
I was going to say, I don't remember that, but it's TNA. It's fine.
Jeff Hardy as a heel turns up on TV smoking and hitting people with crutches. That's how he rolls.
See Champa.
Pretty much. Ah, there you go.
that's where Champ got the idea from.
Fuck you, champion. Champa. Fucking hell, Chris.
Brilliant.
Champion.
Back to SmackDown. We love a good tangent. It's great.
The Antichrist of wrestling. Fuck.
Yeah, that's the podcast name. No, that is definitely it.
Sanity debuted this week.
Finally. It wasn't even a
Finally.
match, but I don't care.
And it didn't
Finally.
even happen because they destroyed the Usos anyway.
Because fuck the penitentiary.
Yeah, the Good Brothers and the Bludgeon Brothers had a match where Bludgeons win again, as we touched on earlier. Not really anything entertaining. However, Daniel Bryan then interrupted the end of the match for some odd reason.
Why? Does anybody know why? What was
Ryan, he was the GM.
They used to be brothers in the Wyatt family. He just wanted to congratulate them.
He wanted to give him a
No.
cuddle. Just a nice cuddle.
Then they stared.
They kind of
each
just
other
looked at
down.
him like, "Fucking what, mate? Fucking what?
You what?
You fucking what, man?
You come out here interrupting us. We'll fucking screw you over,
My
mate."
name's Davo.
Yeah, and
You
one of them
fucking
one of them dropped their plastic hammer, didn't they? Because it made a massive hollow kind of thunk on the floor.
Brilliant.
But yeah, Daniel Bryan. Gauntlet
Daniel
match,
Bryan
very
interrupted, then stared them down, and then started the gauntlet match against Big E. That Big E spear to the outside is just
Big E looked fantastic in this
Oh,
match. He
He does.
had a serious. I put it on Twitter that there was no like pandering to the crowds. There was no starting chants.
He did a little
It
bit. I
was
think there was a bit on the apron. It was on the
serious.
apron or something. He was like doing this weird licking his lips thing or whatever it was, but it was
But it was like
subdued.
he was there to get a job done. He was there to do what he needs to do.
Yeah,
Which was job to Daniel Bryan.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And then
But
Daniel
he looked
Bryan.
fantastic.
Daniel Bryan then had to face Samoa Joe. And
I
wins,
called it on Twitter. I
Samosa
pretty much
Joe
called
said-
this match on Twitter.
Well, like, he wins via count out.
Not that I said have Big E start but as long as Joe's next, because Samoa Joe versus Big E or Daniel Bryan is money, and you need to have that. And he did. And then they cut to a fucking ad break straight as Joe was about to get into the ring. Joker.
Well done, USA Network.
3 ad breaks we had in that match. 3.
But yeah, Samoa Joe was he looked like he was going to win, didn't he? Throughout most
That
of it.
like 25 different submission move spot was really good.
Yeah.
Where he
And then he gets
one
out.
to another.
Then he gets out the ring and pretty much puts him in the coquina clutch, and then Daniel Bryan somehow gets out of it by kicking the wall, I think.
Yeah, he run his legs up the wall and then pushed himself backwards on top of
Yeah.
Joseph.
Oh, Samoa Joe tried to kill him as well by dropping Daniel Bryan on his head.
And then gets back in the ring, and Samoa Joe's count out. That is probably the weirdest yet awesomely constructed win in a gauntlet match I've ever seen, because you'd never see someone get out of a hold to then save themselves in a match where they could both get counted out.
Yeah, it was really good. I really thought it was a cracking spot.
Then the Miz took
No, no, no.
advantage
No, no.
of the
Then
Bludgeon.
the Bludgeon Brothers.
Bludgeon Brothers came out in what was most obviously the Big Cass spot. That was obviously what Big Cass was supposed to do. He couldn't for obvious reasons.
Because he no-showed like Del Rio. Oh, wait.
I said on Twitter, I planned this out on Twitter. The final feud, the final matchup was Daniel Bryan broken, can't wrestle anymore. The Miz comes out, instant skull crushing finale. He wins, goes to Extreme Rules, and they did it a match early. It's devastated.
They did do it a match early, but we got Rusev
Rusev Day.
Rusev Day.
Rusev Day.
Rusev Day. I
Rusev Day.
cried with joy this morning as I read that on the WWE app. I literally was crying on the toilet.
Oh God,
You fucking weirdo.
that's
You realise it's fake, right?
oh I don't know. I don't know. Crying on the
love that's
toilet
what
might be
you
the
took
name
from
of the podcast actually.
Well,
How many names have we got now?
I just keep doing silly stuff and then he changes it. But
He-
that's what I do in the morning.
Different
Go
name
to
on
the
every
toilet,
platform.
You
Ringing
is that
my
what you do in the
phone.
morning? You cry on the
Everyone
toilet.
needs a morning routine, so I respect you.
morning routine of reading the wrestling results on the toilet.
And we
Problem.
finally got Rusev in a main event. Well, I say main event, it probably won't be, but in a main title picture. He's not going to win. I think everyone knows he's not going to win.
Yeah.
But at least he's there.
I kind of want him to win, but I know.
I really want him to win, but
Oh, I'd love him to win, but it won't
he's not
happen.
going to.
No. But yeah, a good week in all.
And it also just one thing that points out is that it's very clear that Aiden English is the heel and Rusev is the face
Yes.
of their little troop.
Even Rusev was like, "Why didn't you shake his hand? What are you doing?"
He's like, "What are you doing, you dickhead? What the fuck are you doing, dickhead?" Basically, what he was doing.
Brilliant.
But yeah, that was SmackDown. Rusev's going, but we touched on it earlier. The whole UK Championship.
Oh yeah,
tournament.
the thing that distracted me from the Jinder match.
Yes.
Here we go.
So I was really excited during yesterday evening when a certain somebody tweeted me going, "There's a UK NXT brand," and I went, "What?" And then I saw that it was in Cambridge and got even more excited because it's 40 minutes down the road.
Ooh.
But yeah,
And I invited myself.
and you did invite yourself. So maybe incoming when the tickets get announced, we might be going on the Sunday, the 29th of July, I think it is. Because it's a Saturday and a Sunday, but I've got a wedding, so if I no-show that, I think I might end up being beaten to death. So
But no, I
Worth
can't
the
wait. For NXT UK, we're going to have obviously the UK title, a women's title, and a tag team title, all UK based.
It's
I'm
gonna be
so
fantastic.
excited. I am so excited, and it's
Yeah.
probably we've been waiting for a year, and I think they've waited a year to make sure. Right, is this the right thing to do? Is it going to happen? Are the other indie shows going to get involved? Obviously, Progress are very heavily linked with WWE and ICW. Are they going to do a lot in there? How is it going to affect the other promotions? Is my other biggest worry.
I think
is,
Defiant are
these-
going to be in trouble personally.
I
Yes.
think it was all the streaming, obviously ones that live stream their events like Defiant, and there's one other I think are going to be really heavily impacted by this.
I think IPW will be, because IPW and Defiant work quite closely together. I don't think they'll stop doing it. I think it will just hinder them
Try and find a way to get
in
around.
terms of the talent as
We're
well.
going to send them Jinder for a little while.
Exactly.
But then, obviously, that was announced on night one of the tournament. And then, for some odd reason,
Spoiler! If you haven't seen this yet, this is a spoiler. This is
WWE
a spoiler
This-
alert.
decided to spoil most of the important things that are happening, even though they tweeted it themselves a week before it's aired. What is wrong with you?
Obviously, if you
Oh.
haven't seen this yet, I would suggest skipping this part of the podcast.
Yeah, pretty much.
Skip forward.
But
like
it was
5
plastered.
minutes.
It was plastered everywhere.
It was on
So if you
Instagram,
have
it was on
managed to miss
Twitter,
it,
it was on Facebook. If you use social media regularly, you couldn't have missed it because it
mean,
was there.
And the WWE network pushed them at your fucking phone.
Yeah, I
you
know.
got push notifications as well.
Oh.
My guess is that the reason why they did that was because they expect everyone to spoil it anyway, so they just thought, well, fuck it, we'll get there ahead of
But
them.
this is why I don't understand why they didn't air it
yeah,
live.
just have it live.
Couldn't do it. They couldn't
Why?
really, because they really wanted the Royal Albert Hall, and there were logistical reasons why it couldn't be done. That's what Trips was saying. They weren't able. And those are the only 3 dates they could have, and it clashed with Raw and SmackDown, so they couldn't live stream it.
Well, no, it'd be on earlier the day, wouldn't it?
No, I
Yeah,
know.
it's like
I
at
mean,
8 o'clock.
yeah, and it wouldn't have worked for them.
Don't spoil it then. Simple as that.
They should have just left it. And because I'm sorry, but with NXT, they record what? 3
I've noticed
episodes a week?
We haven't actually mentioned what the spoiler
No,
was.
I know. We'll get to that in a minute. But like, if you look at NXT, they do 3 tapings, I think, a night for 3 weeks
Something like
worth
that,
of
yeah.
shows. They don't spoil anything there, do they?
Yeah, they do. It's out on Twitter every fucking week.
Not the
What?
tapings.
Not the tapings, though.
Not the actual tape.
No, the
They
results
tweet
of
out
the
during
voting,
NXT what's happened. When it's shown on the network, they tweet out about it.
Oh yeah,
But
They
when
don't
it's
spoil
actually
it
in
themselves.
taping,
No. Whereas
suppose,
this has
yeah,
just been
They
spoiled
actually
before you
spoil
even
it
see it.
themselves. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Go on, Jack. Give us all the spoiler.
Spoiler alert!
I mean,
spoiler
we're
alert,
all happy
spoiler
by it.
alert.
It's fucking brilliant for British wrestling. British strong style of Tyler Bate and Trent Seven beats the Undisputed Era for the tag team titles.
Wrong move.
No, it's
Wrong
not.
move.
No.
I think it's
Yeah,
a wrong
it's-
move.
It's a
I think-
fantastic move to get the UK fans going home happy. I think it's a fantastic move, and then what
the
it does,
Undisputed Era will win it
They'll,
back.
they'll win it
they'll
back,
drop
sure.
it, yeah.
They'll drop
Yeah.
it, but it can become a long-standing feud, which is already what it was set out to be anyway. So to me, I think it's fantastic. Great,
And it created one of the best pops I've ever heard.
it's incredible. Yeah,
And I-
I'm looking forward to hearing that on on a sort of proper live
Definitely.
setting.
Because that airs next Monday and Tuesday, doesn't
Monday
it?
and
It's going to be
Tuesday.
awesome.
At 8 o'clock. So I'm sure we'll talk about that. But they also released. I noticed after the podcast we'd recorded it last week. They also showed on YouTube all of the kind of pretty much 5-minute matches of the first round from Download
Oh,
Festival.
the one from
They
Yeah.
weren't that exciting.
Well, they
Nothing
weren't.
compared
I didn't-
Were they? They were just promotional matches, weren't they? They weren't going to be anything high end, were they?
No,
You wouldn't get any
Um,
high end matches in the first round, not a chance.
definitely not.
That is
there
the only
anything else?
spoiler I've seen. I haven't seen any other spoilers from the night.
Yeah, me
No.
neither. So
That was the
don't
big
do anything
one
if you
that
know
they
anything else.
Pushing down your throat, anyway.
Yeah.
Any other things we've got?
I think
This
we're on quite
Honestly,
a long,
we're on
very long podcast as it is.
very close to 2 hours.
Right.
I think we discussed everything that needed to be discussed.
Apart from that, we
Shout
got
out to my dad's little Nate because he's
yeah,
a
little
legend.
Nate.
We love
Sweet
Little
as.
Nate. Get him on the podcast.
Get him in.
He's going to be refereeing for another 10 years. Bad
Good
because
times.
exclusive right there.
Damn straight. Let's say hi. Do you want to be on our podcast?
We're really professional.
do it.
Totally.
Get back to
Go
it.
on, Jack. Have a word. Have a word. See if he can get
Yeah.
to follow you.
I'll slide into his DMs.
You slide into him. Ooh.
I wish I
Ooh.
could.
Slide into little
Hang
Nate.
on a minute, you just called him your dad and now you want to slide into him, you dirty, dirty man.
I mean,
We promote incest on this podcast, apparently.
Vince tried to pull a figure on it several times. We've managed to do it.
Right then.
Once again, on that note, everybody, it's been a long one this week, but as expected, very lots of news and things happening. Please keep following us on the Twitter at BadBookersWP. Keep following us. We get exclusives from Lil Nate. It happens.
exactly. What more do you want?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Mojo liked another tweet on Monday as well.
Mojo.
We're getting there, man.
We
We're
are
getting there.
getting, we're getting exposure.
Mauro Ranallo retweeted something of ours.
That was amazing. I
that's
literally
fantastic.
was excited about that.
Good on you, Jack, by the way. Yeah, just want to point
Yeah.
out, good on you, Jack, man.
I
Did
mean,
a
I'm
great
not
job
going to
on
top
the social
myself
media.
off, but I am the greatest social media.
All right. Fucking hell.
You're not going to touch yourself off because you're
Stay
shagging your dad.
humble.
Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, because I'm too
Get
busy
down.
tossing little nature.
Stay humble.
Bitch, be humble, according to Kendrick.
Again, keep putting the like ratings on our YouTube videos and Jack's reviews whenever he gets them up there.
We need some 5-star
uh,
reviews. If we could get some 5 stars on
iTunes.
iTunes, we need to, if people can start putting some reviews, then we might read some of the good ones out. So if you've got anything interesting, we're putting them, put them in there, and then you never know, you might even read them out next time.
Yeah, because the only ones that are on there are from Matt. Well done, Matt. And from Kev saying this is a
put one as well.
Kev put one on saying this is a podcast about wrestling. Indeed, a podcast about wrestling podcast or something like that. I was just like,
Cheers,
What a
Kev.
Cheers.
snarky bastard.
I know.
Well, if you could be asked to turn up on our podcast and maybe, get a bit more promotion.
Talking
just
about that, we're going to
saying.
try and get Wolfie on because Wolfie knows a little bit about wrestling. We're going to try and get
Yeah.
him on in the coming weeks.
Yes,
Hopefully.
definitely.
And we'd hope to get a lot more of the FM. I know the FM community are all. There's quite a few who are interested in wrestling. See if we can get those guys in and do a little bit with those guys. But everything is in hand behind the scenes. Don't worry.
Okay.
And
I mean, usually it's not, but it is, at the moment it is.
yeah.
Indeed.
And on that note, have a good week, and we'll
Indeed, guys.
speak again next week at some point when I'll be preparing for Strong Style Evolved UK. Woohoo!
And Smoothman is going to do his forfeits this week.
And I will do I will try and.
You
do
are. No, try. You are doing them this week.
I'm a busy man.
You need to get them done and out the way.
I know, but
Yes.
I'm a busy man.
And
We-
sleep in your Brock Lesnar shirt for one more time because you're never going to
It'll
see
be
it.
burned off you
Cool.
at some point.
He's not going to be wearing it. Smoothman's not going to die, ladies and gentlemen.
Fair enough.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.